Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to today's episode of Ask Eman, where we're going to be live for the next hour, inshallah, with our dear Shaykh, who's always making me smile, Shaykh Suliman, Gani. So, brothers and sisters, as usual, if you have any questions, give us a call on 0203 5150 769. Otherwise, you can send your questions to our WhatsApp number, email address. And if you're watching either, live on Facebook or YouTube, you can leave your questions at the comment section, inshallah. So without further ado, our Shaykh is with us. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh Suliman. How are you?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah.
Good to see you again, Shaykh.
Barakallahu feek.
It's always a
Barakallahu for
pleasure.
having me on your program.
No, thank you so much for joining us on your program, Shaykh. So as we start every show, Shaykh, I'd like to ask you for a short reminder, and then we can get started with some questions, inshallah, from our viewers.
Yes, alhamdulillah. First and foremost, we thank Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us so many blessings and ni'mah. And at the same time, it may be that you and I may enjoying many of the blessings and the ni'mah that Almighty Allah ta'ala, He grants many from His creation. But at the same time, how can you and I be enjoying our ni'mah and blessings in our everyday passing by? Sun will rise and sun will set, another day will go by, but there are still millions of Muslims that are living in a place where there is total lockdown. You and I may enjoy communication, we may able to go onto our internet and look at our messages, but there are people, as you fully aware, how are they passing their days, which is, as you know, in Kashmir. So this is a great challenge that people are facing. When there is a total lockdown of communication and people and families are unaware what is the plight of the millions of the Muslims living in that part of the world, we have to really make a dua and pray that Allah Ta'ala, yes indeed, He removes the difficulty of the people that are facing in all parts of the world, wherever there is pain and ever there is suffering. In some parts of the world, you will find that the people, they have been tested so much, it is about their Eman and their belief. And yes, indeed, Almighty Allah Ta'ala reminds us in the Quran, وَلَتَسْمَعُنَّ مِنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ وَمِنَ الَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا أَذًى كَثِيرًا وَإِن تَصْبِرُوا وَتَتَّقُوا فَإِنَّ ذَلِكَ مِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. That you are going to listen to a lot of adhan, from those people who commit disbelief and those who are the polytheists. Adhan kathira, and that is bringing so much of harm, and you're going to listen to it, those remarks and disparaging remarks, and it is like they will be speaking about your deen and your religion and your way of life and your identity. But this is where the real test lies. You're going to hear this and it's going to happen. It's happened in the past, and yes indeed, how should we respond? And we need to understand that we have to remain firm in our deen. وَإِن تَصْبِرُوا وَتَتَّقُوا. Sabr, yes indeed, you can persevere, you can endure. But what about that taqwa? How do we bring the quality of our nearness to our Creator? Because that is the real resolve. How can we, in addition to sabr and patience and perseverance, bring the taqwa, where we have to ask ourselves that question, do we really seek the nusrat of Almighty Allah Ta'ala in our times of difficulty? In tansurullah yansurkum. It is about our connection with our deen, our connection with our Rabb, our Creator. And then when Almighty Allah Ta'ala, by His decree, and when it happens, He will bring down His nusrat and His help. Because Almighty Allah Ta'ala, yes indeed, He is and everything, He is the disposer of all of the affairs, and He is Malikul Mulk. He is the creator of this entire universe. How insignificant is man? Man, when he has a little power and when he has little authority, see how he is creating mischief in the land. We pray and make dua, that just like how Allah Ta'ala, wherever there is pain and suffering, right now still, we make dua for the Muslims in Kashmir, for the Muslims in Yemen, for the Muslims, Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang. They have been tested a lot. you and I are still able to practice our deen. They do not even have, many are even challenged with their deen and their iman. The test is very, very great. So with this, we hope Allah Ta'ala gives us true understanding to be concerned about the condition of the Muslims. Whoever does not have any concern and worry, then can we really consider ourselves part of the Ummah if we're really not concerned about what's happening in other parts of the world where there is pain and suffering? Jazakallah khairan. With this short introduction, I pass it back to Brother Ibrahim Al-Itubi.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Our next question is going to come from our caller. So, Assalamu alaikum to our caller. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Nazir Naji, and I have a question for Shaykh Suliman Gani.
Where are you calling from?
Where are you calling from, brother?
From Northampton.
Northampton, Shaykh.
Jazakallah khairan for calling.
Jazakallah khair, brother. May Allah bless you. And what's your question for us?
My question is, if you send the money for next year's sacrifice to some country and you appoint somebody, give the authority and money to him, and after, because it's a long time, you have sent the money today, and when the zakat time comes, does the zakat has to be given from that money?
Good question, Shaykh.
I mean, if you are paying your zakat in advance, so it's like saying...
No, it's not zakat. I've sent the Qurbani money.
Qurbani. Udhiyah.
You're sending Qurbani money in advance.
Yes, for the next year. I've sent it to somebody and in the other country. And
Yeah,
the
but
money
you can only sacrifice the animal on the day of Eid al-Adha. So that means you are sending it now in advance, but that money is only going to be spent, and it should only be spent on the day of Eid. So that means zakat is still have to calculate zakat, because that money is only going to, it's still like in your possession. You still have only given it and sent it in advance, but the money will only be spent on the day of Eid. So what was the point of sending it in advance? Meaning, if you really want to calculate your zakat, that has to be counted, because that money is still in your possession. It's still yours, even though you sent it. Jazakallah khairan. Because the point is, if you're sending a money with the intention that when is the day of Eid, then that animal has to be sacrificed. So that money is still there, and it still belongs to you, because you've only sent it and only to be spent on the day when the animal has to be sacrificed, and we're only in the month of Muharram. Safar is now in the month of Safar. So when is the animal sacrifice? On the 10th of Zulhijjah, Eid al-Adha. So when the time you are calculating your zakat, it all depends. When are you calculating your zakat? If zakat is calculated, is it after the day of Eid or is it before? So that will need to be checked, because you need to know exactly when is the day you are doing your calculation, when is the year ends for you. And if the year ends and you have given it now, but you said that money is only going to spend on the day of Eid. So this is it's very technical. You have to, it's more questions. You need to qualify it. You need to verify what the money is like. It's like somebody has money. It's just from one account is put into another account, and it's still there. It's not spent, and if you're only using it for the animal sacrifice, and if your zakat is due, then you should use that as part of your money and pay zakat on it. And it's not much. How much is the animal? So you just calculate it as your money that still belongs to you. Jazakallah khairan.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Our next question, Shaykh, is I am seriously in love with my cousin. Is it permissible to get married to her?
It is allowed to get married to your cousin, yes.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh.
But love is blind. Next question.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Our next question is, what are the best books to memorize for a student of knowledge other than the Quran?
I mean, when you think about the beautiful book and collection of ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Bukhari, the hadith that he has collected and Imam Bukhari, who died in the year 256 after Hijrah. Now, in there are many, many ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But if you really want to memorize, then we would recommend to start off with something like the compilation of ahadith by Imam Nawawi, because he has his Arba'in Nawawi, the 40 ahadith. That compilation and that collection of hadith is really, really amazing to memorize those 40 ahadith. If you're really starting as a beginner, then this is what we would recommend you do. Or you could also take from the book Riyadh Salihin, and from the different chapters, select a hadith or two, three ahadith from each chapter, and you could start memorizing. So, yes, indeed, we all should start memorizing with the first hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is innamal a'malu bin niyat. All the a'mal will be judged according to their intention.
Thank you, Sheikh. That brings us to our first break of the show. So we'll come back shortly after this. So if everyone watching at home, stay tuned for now. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to today's Ask Eman show. We're going to be here for another 45 minutes up until 8:30 tonight, inshallah. So, brothers and sisters, if you're watching and you have any questions, then give us a call on 0203 515 0769 to ask your questions live. Otherwise, you can send your written questions to our WhatsApp number, email address, and if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook on the live stream, you're able to leave your questions at the comment section, inshallah. So I'd like to welcome back our Shaykh. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. Welcome back after the break.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Jazakallah
Did you
khair.
enjoy your break, Shaykh?
Yeah, no, alhamdulillah, you were speaking very loudly.
Jazakallah khair. Just so I can make sure I'm heard, Shaykh. Jazakallah khair. So our next question, Shaykh, or before we go to our WhatsApp questions, I'd like to ask you to give us all some advice. It's getting very cold now, Sheikh, here in the UK. The sun is setting much earlier than usual, so people are home earlier. And generally this part of the year is, dark and cold and all of this. So for a Muslim and a believer, what opportunities lie in this time of the year?
Yes, indeed. I mean, when you are saying it gets cold of the year, it just flashed on my mind that I think was it already 2 weeks ago we were able to climb the Mount Snowdon.
Oh yes, you went on that, didn't you, Sheikh?
So was very cold up there.
Mashallah,
So we
yeah.
got to experience how it is. So thinking about the cold and the bitterness in the winter and it's freezing cold, as you're walking up the mountain, and first it was quite hot and was nice weather, and as you're going higher and higher, then you find that the weather is changing. Then it's becoming cold, and then it's raining, and then the wind is also blowing, and then it's suddenly you're above the clouds, and the journey is like never ending. So there are people when it is freezing cold at such time, and then when they are spending days and days on end without heating, yes, indeed, you can realize how Almighty Allah Ta'ala, when He wants to test a person, just like how when the heat is so intense, similarly, when it is freezing cold, then this is again a reminder that all of the seasons is like the alternation of the day and night, the experiencing of your times of your ibadah in different times of the year, when it is cold or when it is very hot. In every condition, the believer knows that he is, as Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, وَمَا خَلَقَتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, that I have not created jinn and mankind save that they worship me. So when he is going to leave his home and he knows it's freezing cold, and making that extra sacrifice, then for every step he also takes to the masjid, he's getting a reward. So not only that, even he is staying and offering his prayer, there is a separate reward for the prayer that he offers in congregation. But the time and the sacrifice, because it is freezing cold, and what is the reward for that person when he responds to the call of Allah, when he knows that it's like saying the shaitan doesn't want him to come out of his cozy bed and stand up. So it's all about tasting the sweetness of Iman during these nights and during these special moments. But what is also amazing, you get to have a longer nights, and you get to able to, what is the excuse do we have? Because the sunrise is so late. Even if you have, before you leave your home also, if you get our children to offer their prayer and to make them and keep them in a routine, then that is really very important, because now you are preparing them for that which is going to benefit them in this world and in the akhirah. So parents have that extra responsibility that we cannot choose, when it is summer, winter, whatever the condition of the weather, doesn't change your attitude to your deen. Because in every condition, you know that the believer, if he really wants to attain that success, he has to offer his 5 daily prayers. So we may at times feel, oh, it is very cold, it is freezing. But this is where the real test lies. Are we willing to make that extra sacrifice? Are we willing to submit and understand that indeed our deen is a complete way of life? So we can make the many du'as and prayers, and we can ask Allah Ta'ala, just like how Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave us a beautiful dua to read, even when a person every day he makes this dua, Allahumma thabbit qalbi ala dinik, O Allah, keep my heart firm on the deen. Because a person can be tested in different ways, and the real test that we have every day, as-salatu khayru min an-nawm, salah is better than sleep. Are we responding to the call of the mu'adhin when we know salah is better than sleep? May Allah Ta'ala make it easy, inshallah.
Ameen. Thank you so much, Shaykh, for the reminder. We'll move on now to our next question from our WhatsApp questions. The question is, Assalamu alaikum. If a sister has her monthly cycle, can she enter the masjid to listen to the imam who is giving da'wah? Lecture, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, this is the question where there is a difference of opinion. And I mean, when we say that there are differences, so we respect the opinions of the great Aimma. And if they are using the evidence that La yadkhulu, like the junub and the one that is in the state of haid, La yaqra'u shay'an min al-Quran, like they would not read any part of the Quran. And when you speak about the masjid also, just like how when a woman is in a state of haid and menstruation, she doesn't even enter the Masjid al-Haram. And this is a masjid where every salah that you perform therein is multiplied 100,000 times. So if she cannot enter the masjid, she cannot do the tawaf. So therefore, the masjid and the boundaries of the masjid, if it is clearly defined, then it is best to avoid entering inside the masjid and use its outer room or the side room or the hall, and they could have a sound system, so she can still come to the masjid and be seated and benefit from the programs and the talk. So I think that is something, especially according to the Hanafi fiqh, it is very strongly recommended that woman, she doesn't enter the masjid in that condition, and she can benefit from the talks, she can attend all the programs, but there should be a separate arrangement, or even in the masjid where they can accommodate this type of programs where women can still benefit from the dawah programs, and Allah make it easy, inshallah.
Ameen, Sheikh. Thank you so much for your answer. Our next question, Sheikh, is why do I want to make salah but can't be consistent with it?
When you say consistent, you mean regularly. And sometimes it can happen, the person, he may be offering his prayer, and then the next prayer comes, because this is really, the tarbiyah begins at that young age. Many a times as parents we fail to nurture our children and to give them that importance, attachment to salah. And many a times as parents, if we do not take our children to the masjid at that young age, then there comes a time where our children, they will grow up very, very quickly. So just like how we are so very enthusiastic that our children attend the school and they do not miss any days and they are there on time, the question is, do we really understand the importance of giving tarbiyah to our children when they reach the age of 7? And this is in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, muru awladakum bis salati wa abna'u sab'i sinin. You command your children to perform salah when they reach the age of 7. So if we as parents, we did not command our children, they went to the madrasa, and then after madrasa, they come home and there is no strong foundation in their home where we have those from our mothers, parents who may have adopted a very casual attitude towards their salah and their prayers. So, how do we expect our children that they have been given this teaching in the madrasa that they should perform their salah 5 times a day, and then at home the parents don't wake them up for prayer, for Salatul Fajr, don't remind them, have you performed your Isha prayer? So the question is, it, it, it does happen that now a child has reached the age of 15 and 17, and now you get into your 20s, you have reached your adult age. What has happened? We may now learn that, we get into good dawah programs, we learn about salah, now we start offering, but then you start praying, and suddenly you get lazy again, and then you are not persistent. There is no consistency in our action. So this goes back to our tarbiyah and upbringing, because those children who are growing up with salah and praying it 5 times a day, it becomes part of your daily routine. May Allah make it easy.
Ameen, Shaykh. And that brings us to our next break of the show. Thank you for your answer, Shaykh. For everyone watching with us, we'll be back after a few minutes, inshallah, after our short break. For now, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back after our short break to today's Ask Eman Live with Shaykh Suliman Gani. So brothers and sisters, we're going to be here for another 30 minutes. So if you have any questions, then you're able to send them to us through WhatsApp, email address, And if you're watching along on either Facebook or YouTube, you can leave them at the comment section. But the quickest way to ask your question, if you'd like to, is to call us live on 0203 5150 769. I'd like to welcome you back, Sheikh Suliman. How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Sheikh, it's just come to my attention
Yes.
that your name, mashallah, Sheikh, is not your name. It's like, your, because you've studied the deen and stuff, isn't it, Sheikh?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm still a student, yes.
Yeah, so that's not your name. The name is Suliman, isn't it, Sheikh? So Sheikh Suliman.
Suliman Gani is the
So
name.
mashallah, your name is the name of a prophet, one of the great prophets.
Yes,
Could you tell us a
Ibrahim.
bit about the Prophet Suleiman, Sheikh, and what benefits we can take from his life? Alayhi salam.
So there are no callers.
No, there are questions, but I thought, mashallah, we should take this opportunity for this short reminder, and then we can get to our questions from our viewers.
I mean, the main thing is just look at how Allah Ta'ala had blessed Suleiman alayhi salam and given him such a vast kingdom. Well, what is the Suleiman to Dawood? But then again, at the time, if we look at how even Suleiman alayhi salam, when he was standing and he was holding that stick, and you think about Masjid al-Aqsa, and you think about the jinn, that he even had control of the jinn. But then we also learn that, look, the jinn also did not have knowledge of the unseen. They were toiling and they were working, and finally, while Suleiman alayhi salam, meanwhile, he had passed away, and he was standing until those termites had ate from the bottom of the stick, and then he collapsed, meaning a great prophet of Allah, which Allah Ta'ala had given such a great kingdom, such a vast kingdom. But the point is, when you have so many prophets of Allah and many Anbiya and prophets of Allah, but Suleiman alayhi salam, Allah Ta'ala gave him different miracles, and that's why in each one of the prophets it's something very special. But with Suleiman alayhi salam, there is a very special attachment and connection that we should have with Masjid al-Aqsa, because for those who have visited this very amazing location, and for those who have seen and been, there is something very special in that location, where underneath the masjid, when I had one occasion, I had the opportunity to go and to see the basement, or we could say the beneath the foundation or the walls of Al-Aqsa from the western side. Remember, there is the Burak wall, which is known as the western wall, and the Burak wall, the name has been changed to the Wailing wall. I did take once on my visit to Al-Aqsa and went to the basement and underneath, and subhanallah, you cannot even imagine that one brick, what we would say, it is, you would not find, when we speak about a brick, we speak something you can hold in your hand. This is an entire wall. Even if you take, 10 meters long, it is this one big, large slab or boulder or brick. So huge it is that even you cannot imagine how this was built. The cranes that we have of today and the technology that we have, this is how the deeper you go to the basement of Al-Aqsa and the walls, these become larger and so huge that how was it possible to build such an amazing structure? Because our understanding, and we will look at the above and see what is on the top, where you have the Aqsa, the Jami al-Qibli, and you have the Dome of the Rock. But you will be surprised to learn that when you go underneath, that is the real Aqsa al-Qadim. That is that amazing location where there is a lot of also from the connection and the details is with Sulaiman alayhi salam and the building of the masjid, and he had the control of the jinn. So this is just one which comes to the mind. But nevertheless, the point is, the name Suleiman I was actually given because Ibrahim had mentioned it, even though, yes, indeed, it's the name of the Prophet of Allah. But there was one great alim and scholar in my town where I lived in South Africa, and that is a town called Middelburg. And there was an imam there, and his name was Suleiman. So it was on a Friday. Now, if you go back to the Islamic date of 29th of August 1969, that was the day I was born, and it was on a Friday. And that is what is so special about this very special name that actually my father, when he had given me, he told me that the very following Friday, meaning day of Jum'ah, he informs the Imam, his name is Imam Suliman, that I was born, and he made a special dua on the Friday, Yom al Jum'ah. So yes, we could actually say from the barakah of the dua, whatever dua he had made, this great alim and scholar and Imam, the very next Friday, Yom al Jum'ah, he passed away while he was in sajda in his salah in South Africa. So my father reminds me that this was the very same Imam Suleiman who made dua, and we don't know, and he passed away the very next Friday while he was in sajda, and he's buried there in my hometown there in Middleburg. So that is where I get the connection and the name. So and we don't know because we are not from a family that has great ulama and scholars, but we sometimes when it is a lesson that we can learn having connection and respect for the ulama that Allah Ta'ala blessed that my father and my parents see that I decided to tread upon a path seeking knowledge because this was something that entered the heart. It was not something that I was forced into. It was a decision that I had taken upon myself to tread upon this path to seek that knowledge and through the barakah. And we don't know sometimes the dua on the day of Jum'ah where there is the angels that say Ameen and the time du'as are readily accepted. That so many years go by and here we are sitting and reflecting and thinking that of the name Suleiman, why did my father choose this beautiful name? Yes, it is the name of the Prophet of Allah. And yes, we cannot even reach the level of the great Imam and scholar. His name was also Suleiman. But could it be because of his dua and prayer that my father, a normal, just a businessman, and it could be a great lesson to learn that sometimes we may have respect, may not even have any knowledge of the deen, but we give people the due respect and the ulama, and we give them their respect. And if they make a dua, and anybody's dua can be answered, it's just a feeling that that could be the time where the dua was answered, and hence Allah had chose that we are still a student, but now a Shaykh is just somebody that's given a title, meaning he gets the qualification to continue and to propagate and to you know um, teach whatever he has learned from wherever he has studied, and we studied there in the Islamic University of Medina. So may Allah Ta'ala accept, and also my grandfather's name was Suleiman. Jazakallah khairan for that. Next question.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Thank you so much. Our next question, Sheikh, is Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Glad to see the program back online. MashaAllah. We value our viewers just like they value our program. But
So when
you know, the most special person in all of this is Sheikh Suliman Gani.
I don't know whether you're offline or online, but Jazakallah for letting me know that we're online.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. So the question is, Sheikh, we're 2 minutes until our break, mashallah, our next break. The question is, I have a bathroom which has a toilet in it. So if I am going to perform ablution, do I say Bismillah in my mind, or do I perform ablution outside?
I mean, if you have your basin in the toilet, it's fine. You can say it in your mind, because right now when you are making ablution, your intention is your ablution. Your intention is not to enter the toilet. So it's with that in mind, you can do your Bismillah in your mind, and that is fine.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Our next question is it permissible to take a student loan? Actually, Sheikh, because of the shortage of time, let's leave this after for the next segment.
Most welcome.
I know the answers for this could be quite long, maybe. Okay, the next question, Sheikh. Do people that have special needs, are they forgiven from participating in the fundamentals of Islam? For example, praying.
Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah does not put a burden on a person more than what he can bear. So it is like فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Fear Allah, whatever is in your capability. So if somebody has special needs, we have to actually be welcoming. In fact, we had a program at our masjid which was the Autism Hour. It was an initiative by the Autistic Society and the MCB. And
Just to stop you there, Sheikh. Apologies. We have our break now.
yes,
So
you've frozen
inshallah,
me.
yes, I froze you,
Okay.
Sheikh. So we'll freeze there until we're back for our next segment, which is going to be our last one, inshallah. We'll be back after the break for another 10 minutes. So please stay tuned for now. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to everyone who's watching along with us today to the last part of today's show. We'll be here for another 10 minutes or so live, inshallah, to take your questions and get them answered for you by our Shaykh today, Shaykh Suliman Gani. So, brothers and sisters, if you have any questions, give us a call on 0203 5150 otherwise, you're able to send your questions to our WhatsApp number, email address, and if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you're able to leave your questions at the comment section. First, I'd like to welcome back Shaykh Suliman. How are you, Shaykh?
Alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Jazakallah khair. You always keep me waiting, Shaykh. Huh? And with that, Shaykh,
But we welcome you from the beginning.
I welcome
After every
you.
break, I'm here. I haven't gone anywhere.
It's true. I welcome you at the beginning and after every break,
Okay, Jazakallah
just to be
khair.
polite.
Very kind of you.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Like, you're very kind as well, mashallah. So we're going to go to our next caller now, inshallah, Shaykh. So, assalamu alaikum to our caller. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair for the opportunity to ask the knowledgeable Shaykh a question. My name is Hussein. I'm calling from the Midlands.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Hussein. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Akhi?
I'm well, Jazakallah khair. Thank you for calling. And your question for the Shaykh?
Okay. It's a question which, some brothers and sisters, we were kind of like sharing our thoughts with each other, and because we haven't got the knowledge of the Shaykh, I'm going to ask the question kind of like giving a kind of example. It's a hard question to ask, so I'm going to try and make it easy for the Sheikh to understand. Basically, it's a general question. Say if a wife approaches a Sharia council and she wants a dissolution of marriage. The Sharia council asks her what the reason is. She says her husband hasn't given her any maintenance for the last few months or whatever. They then instantly dissolve the marriage without any engagement with the husband. Now, she's got her certificate saying the marriage has been dissolved. The husband has his reasons for why he never gave her maintenance, but the Sharia council haven't explored those reasons. And one of those reasons could be, Akhi, that the husband has lost his job and he didn't want to cause anxiety to his wife and his family. So my question to the Shaykh is, with respect, we want to try and improve and develop our Sharia councils in this country, especially for the benefit of families and communities. Whoever is arbitrating in a Sharia council, do they have an obligation to both the husband and the wife to actually explore the reasons of what is the reason for the concerns being raised to them at the Sharia council?
Jazakallah khair, brother. Do you have any other questions?
I could just provide that. Basically, does the Sharia council have a duty of care to both parties, both spouses?
All right, then. Thank you so much for your call and for your question. Jazakallah khair.
Yes, indeed. I mean, you have highlighted something very, very important, crucial. You cannot dissolve a marriage until it has been explored. And you cannot just listen to one side of the story. It is very simple from the etiquettes and adab, even from the Quran. وإن خفتم شقاق بينهما فبعثوا حكما من أهله وحكما من أهلها إن يريد إصلاح يوفق الله بينهما, meaning generally even if there is a representative from the girl's side, representative from the boy's side, trying to reconcile. And as you've said, if this is a case where husband has lost his job and now there's no maintenance, you cannot just dissolve a marriage. She may have a justification in seeking to annul the marriage. A woman can, whatever the reason. But when you are saying, giving an opportunity and chance for the husband to try and sort out matters, because you cannot make a decision, and obviously we don't know the details because now we are listening only to your side of the story. So this thing again, generally the ruling is, especially when it comes to matters of talaq and divorce, especially when there is a matter which can be resolved, if there is willingness from both sides to resolve the matter, if the matter has gone to the Sharia council, and if the husband only receives the letter that the marriage has been dissolved, and that is it has serious implications. And it is, I mean, the way you are explaining, you need to again verify and check and see how can this possibly happen without it first brought to the attention of the husband. So may Allah Ta'ala make it easy. And yes, if there is some serious, I mean, we could say, if it was not conducted in a manner which is given the opportunity for the husband to sort out matters and to save that marriage, that should be the ultimate goal and aim firstly. So Allah make it easy, but we hope that this matter can be again revisited, and it needs to be checked and see who had exactly dealt with that case. How is it that it was not brought to the attention to the husband, so that he be given a chance to also present his case and ultimately to save the marriage? I'm sure the husband would not like that marriage, or he received such a message where he was not even informed, or was not given him the opportunity to present his case. So Allah make it easy, and if there is more issues or way we can help and see to give more support to the family or to the husband himself, I think it's important. Probably maybe you could contact Brother Ibrahim or see who is exactly dealing with this type of issue, so this matter can be it's like learning from mistakes, so it doesn't happen again. Yes, Jazakallah khairan.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Thank you so much. So just to add on to that a bit as well, Sheikh, that generally for matters like these, also consult your local imam and your local masjid and seek their support as well, and their advice to kind of get that support for yourselves locally and your families, inshallah. So we're going to move on now to our next caller. Assalamu alaikum to our caller. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Okay. Hello. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zaid and I'm 11 years old and I'm in London. I live in London.
MashaAllah, Zaid. How are you today?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah.
Do you have your parents' permission to be calling us?
Yeah.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair. What's your question for us today?
So I would like to ask, so say if you see a cat, it comes to your door at the night, in the middle of the night, like 12 o'clock, and it cries outside your door, and then it stares at us, and then it just cries and stares at us, and after when we read dua, we tell ourselves basically, then it goes away. And it came 2 to 3 days in the night, basically.
Okay, so did you say it came 2 to 3 days?
Yeah.
Okay, so it came and left and came and left?
Yeah.
Okay, then. Just thank you so much. Do you have any other questions for us?
No, it's Zakra.
Okay, thank you so much, Zaid, for giving us a call. May Allah bless you and your family. So, Shaykh, you have...
Yes, I mean, Jazakallah khair and for young Zaid for calling in. And I mean, a cat is a beautiful animal and maybe it's looking for a beautiful home. Maybe somebody has left the cat in the cold. And generally, this type of animal to keep even as a pet is it is also encouraged, because when you have the Sahaba by the name of Abu Huraira, his full name is Abdurrahman ibn Sakhara Dawsi, and he was a person who loved the cat also, and here's how he got that nickname of Abu Huraira, like the father of the cat. What can I say? The cat is crying. I don't know why it is crying, but it is an animal. And just think about if you provide shelter, if an animal is in difficulty, do not belittle any action. We don't know which action a person may do. Maybe we don't know why, whose cat is it, why has it come to the door, and if you maybe probably if you cannot look after the animal or take it as a pet, obviously you can have, I'm sure there are a number to contact the specialist or the vet, those who are looking to keep the animal as a pet. It's just trying to give comfort to that animal, because there must be a reason why that cat was crying. Who does it belong to also? We need to know. You cannot just take it, obviously. You have to find out. It could be that somebody has lost their animal, or that. So a lot of things to ask, but generally just be kind to all of these animals, especially that lovely cat.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. So I was asked to ask in addition, does it matter if the cat is black or not?
Now you are bringing Halloween is still 31st October. I don't know what you are going.
Oh, is it? Is it 1st October? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, generally there is some opinions and about the animal. If it is a black color, then there is discussion about the jinn. Do they come in the form of an animal? And many are not, they feel quite generally afraid to see the animal if it is black in color, because it could remind them of the jinn. So therefore we said, just think about other colors. White is a lovely animal, white color, the cat. It's just associated with the color of the jinn who comes in the form of an animal, and that is, Allah Ta'ala knows best. But if somebody has an animal and he loves the cat, and if it's black, there is no harm. It does not necessarily mean that every animal that is black in color it's going to bring, because many of these things are more superstitious belief. So generally a cat is a cat, doesn't matter what color. Jazakallah khairan.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Thank you so much for joining us today, Shaykh. Thank you for your answers and everything. We've benefited from you. May Allah reward you greatly. I'd like to shake your hand, Shaykh.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Until next time, inshallah.
Until next time, inshallah.
Thank you so much to everyone who's joined us as well. Until tomorrow at the same time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.